Alright, so I'm going to take Jen through a TVA activation series. So this is just going to get your deep abdominal muscles fired up before we move into our core workout. So we're going to start this lying on our backs, feet close to the hips. Our spine is flat against the mat. What we're going to start with is some breathing here. So I'm going to get Jen to take nice deep breaths in through her nose, and then full deep exhales out through her mouth. With your inhale, I want you to think of filling up your stomach, about 2/3 of your air into your stomach, and then maybe 1/3 up, right below your boobs, or your chest, into the ribs. So full deep inhale in through the nose, full deep exhale out through the mouth. The mouth. Keep doing that. So ridiculous. Regardless, I'm going to get Jen to put her hands onto her hips, and she's going to cough a couple of times. You're going to do the same. You're going to notice here that there's a slight contraction through the side of your abdomen, so you can play with the placement of the hands so that you can find that contraction when you cough. Now what you're going to try to do now is during your inhales, you're going to keep that same deep breath in, so going in through the stomach, up through the ribs. But on your exhales, I want you to find that contraction in your core. So you're going to try to empty your air out of your stomach, flattening out between the hip bones, but also contracting through the side of your core. So we're going to do full deep breath in, going stomach, ribs, full deep breath out, finding that contraction. So you can see here, Jen really lets the air come out, and then she's flattening out from between the hip bones. Full deep breath out. We're going to do one more nice deep breath here. Full inhale, stomach, ribs, full deep breath out, finding that contraction. So next up, we're going to be moving into a dead bug. Generally with a dead bug, you're actually trying to maintain intra-abdominal pressure, but this is going to be a TVA-based dead bug. So that breathing that you just practiced in this lying position is what you're going to try to find in your dead bug. So arms are going to come up, the wrist is lined up over your shoulder, and then your knees are going to come up and just be lined up over the hips. Nice flexed feet here. We're going to just start with the breathing and take 3 nice deep breaths. Full deep inhale, full deep exhale, trying to find that flattening between the abdomen. And full deep exhale. Also here, make sure that you keep that spine flat on the ground. Also something that you can play with here is doing an S breath on your exhale. So you're going to exhale with your mouth kind of pursed, doing the sound of a snake. So full deep breath in, and then your exhale will sound like sometimes this can help you find the contraction. We're going to have fun with this one, and I'm actually just going to get Jen to drop down one heel to the floor, just hovering above the ground, and then the other arm is going to come down, so the opposite arm comes down. She's going to try to maintain her breathing here. So full deep breath in, full deep breath out, inhaling up. We're going to do another one. So full deep exhale, emptying the air out, flattening out between the hip bones. You're going to stay here for 1 deep inhale. Exhale, flatten out between the hip bones. And inhale up. So Jen's going to keep doing that, but you can play with this one. So as you get more advanced, you can extend the leg as well and keep working with this. If that felt too hard, just stay in that position with your wrists over your shoulders, your knees over your hips, and just work on the breathing. This is something that you can play with, and depending on the day, some days you're going to feel the contraction, some days you're going to feel that proper TVA engagement, and some days you're not. But it's a practice, playing with the breathing, that flattening of the spine on the ground, and that contraction through your core, and eventually you're going to find TVA engagement.
So from the bird dog, you're going to be down onto all fours, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And from this position, we're going to think of screwing the shoulder blades back away from the ears, like they're twisting away from the ears. We want to create as much space between that ear and shoulder as possible. We're going to maintain that hollowness, breathing through the belly, nice neutral spine, and we're going to slowly reach one arm and the opposite leg out. So you want to imagine like someone has 2 strings, one from the heel, one from the fingertips, and they're pulling you from one end to another. Another great thing to think about here is keeping some string pulling from the top of your head, pulling pulling you forward so that the back of the neck stays in neutral. We don't want to be looking up towards the ceiling and shortening the back of that neck. As you move from one side to another, we want to really watch the transition phase. As we place one hand down and start to reach the other side of the body off the ground, we want to watch that we don't lean too far to one side. I like to picture that you have a glass of wine on the lower back, and as you're moving, you're trying not to let that wine spill over the glass. If you like, you can put a water bottle on the low back here and listen and feel for the water sloshing around as you move. We want to slow down if you feel that sloshing, because here we're really trying to maintain that stability through the hips as we alternate from one leg to the other. So we're going to do 10 total reps here. The slower that you move, the more you're likely going to feel this. So if you're not feeling it, you can slow down even slower than what Mira is showing you today. And once you're finished all of the 10 reps, we're going to move on to a little bit of mobility work to help you get a little bit more warmed up. So we're going to start here with one leg forward, step it outside of the hands. We want to try to keep that back leg straight so that we're getting lengthening through the front of that back leg, opening up through the hip, and all the way down through the back of that body, or the front of the body, sorry. So from this position, we're going to bend the knee and touch the knee down to the ground, keeping that length in through the hips, and then straightening the leg again. We're going to keep repeating that to help encourage a little bit more opening up through the hips. About 5 to 10 on each side. We want to make sure that we're not arching the back up to the sky. So as you can see, Mira's position here, her back is really, really flat, really neutral. And we're going to start adding rotation here. So both of the shoulders are going to spin away from the ears as we reach that fingertip up to the ceiling. We don't want to reach the arm back behind the body. We just want to reach straight up to the ceiling so we have a nice long line from the bottom hand all the way up to the top hand. We're trying to create space in through the front of the chest, warming up the shoulders, warming up the spine by rotating, making sure to reach up and not back. Once you're finished your rotations, you can come back down, switch to the other side. Little knee taps to the ground. Now if this position is a little bit too low for you and you are struggling to keep that neutral spine, you can also elevate your hands on a coffee table or something just a little bit higher than the ground if you feel a little bit too restricted to do this from here. Nice rotations. If you can, try to exhale as you rotate up, moving the head with your body as you turn and look up at that top hand. Both of the shoulders spinning away from the ears. Beautiful. Once you're finished those little knee taps and your rotations, you can walk all the way back up and we're going to go into a little bit more hip opening. Alright, so for hip mobility here, we're going to show you a standing pigeon, which is a really nice stretch for your hips. And so we're going to take one leg on top of the box. If you can, keep the knee supported on the box or put something underneath it so it's not hanging too low. And we're going to step back so that we're lengthening the back leg. If we want to add a little progression to this, we're going to start exhaling and bending down with the torso. We're really trying not to round the back. So you can see here, Mira's got really great mobility, so her back doesn't really round as she bends forward. But if you feel your back rounding, you just want to work on lengthening the spine and stopping at the position where your back wants to round, and just gradually letting that hip push back to help lengthen that left side. You're also going to feel a little stretch through the right side if your back leg is the right leg here through the hip flexors. Once you do about 5 or 10 little bows down to your box, we're going to show you how to modify this to make it a little bit more difficult if you want a little bit more of a challenge. So if you want to make this a little bit more difficult and you've tried this on the box and it's not really that challenging for you, we're going to do this in a plank position on the ground, starting with the legs straight and the arms underneath the shoulders. We're going to lift one leg up and take the knee in between the hands, letting that foot drop down onto the ground. And if you can, from this position, drop that knee down, and you can start to add your forward bends here. So we're exhaling as we fold forward, inhaling as we lift up. We want to make sure that here that the hips aren't turned back to the right. So whichever leg is behind you, typically we're going to let that leg pull us back if we're a little limited through our hip mobility. So make sure you're turning that hip forward. So if your right leg is back, you're turning the right hip forward and vice Once you're finished your 5 to 10 little bows through this flow, you can take yourself back up to your palms, lift the back legs, and step the foot back before switching sides. Reaching up through the chest as you inhale, exhale, bow forward. Making sure we're keeping that back leg nice and long. Left hip is turning forward. And if you feel like you need a little support here, you can also pop a pillow underneath the hip on the side that is in front of you so that you are not floating off of the ground so much, especially if you're someone who's a little bit in between being able to do this on the box and not quite being able to do it on the ground but wanting the challenge. You can definitely add a pillow or an extra blanket underneath that hip. Once you're done, just walk yourself back up and you're ready to get started on the workout. So I'm going to show you guys how to use Gym Boss, which is a really great free app if you need help with your timer for your workouts. If you get fumbly using a stopwatch or a phone or trying to watch the clock, this is a great app. You can set up your own customized intervals with whatever time length that they're going to be. You can also add colors so that it will be visible from far away. If it's red or green, green is go, obviously red is stop, and it will beep at you when it's time to change. So I'm going to get this started here, and Mira's going to lay down on her back. We're going to count down starting in 6 seconds. So you'll start hearing this beep. So we're going to start here with an active straight leg raise. So Mira's going to keep her hands down on the floor behind her, and she's going to really work at keeping both legs straight as she alternates one leg down at a time. Now you don't have to go all the way down to the ground. The most important thing here is that you're keeping your low back flat on the floor. So some people will go halfway down, some people a quarter of the way down, but ideally you're going to build up the endurance and strength to go all the way down to the ground, or just stopping about an inch or two above the ground. If you want to make this more challenging, you can go both legs at the same time, making sure to stop before your low back lift. So both legs is a little bit more challenging, so don't be surprised if you have to stop a little higher up from the ground rather than what you were able to do with each leg individually. 15 seconds of rest, and then we're going to go on to our next exercise, which is a kneel to stand. We're going to show this without the weights first, and then we will show you how to do this with a kettlebell or a dumbbell if you want to make it harder. 3, 2, go. So kneeling up to standing. We're going to keep the butt down, keep the body low. Even though it's standing, we're not standing up completely. We're going to come down onto one knee at a time, alternating each time, trying to go nice and quick without resting to a standing position. We want to keep those quads burning. We want to keep the legs working really, really hard here. We're going to show this with the kettlebell or the dumbbell. So if you want more of a challenge, hold this weight in front of your body, squeeze it tight, make sure you're not flopping your torso around, and we're going to keep trying to come up to those standing positions, nice and low into that deep squat position. We got 10 seconds left. Keep alternating sides. 3, 2, 1. Rest. Awesome. Next up, we're going to be down onto the back. We've got bicycle threes. So laying down on the back, we're going to start with a shorter stance position or a shorter lever and make this more difficult. So hands behind the head. We're going to go bicycle crunch. 1, 2, 3. The leg that's out is going to do 3 leg raises. Once you're done 3, you're going to go 1, 2, 3 bicycle crunches again, and you'll end up on the other side, lifting the leg up as high and as low as you can. You can rock the hips in a little bit like Mira is showing you here. Keep breathing. You want to keep that nice twist as if you're pulling one rib to the opposite hip bone as you hold onto that bicycle position. We got 10 seconds left. Nice work, Mira. Keep breathing. 3, 2, 1, and we're going to come up onto the mat. We've got 15 seconds, and then we're going to start with our jump laterally. We're going to bend down, touch the ground as we jump from side to side.
Don't kick the kettlebell.
Don't kick the kettlebell. All right, 3, 2, 1, and go. Jump and touch. Jump and touch to make this harder, jump wider to make this easier. You don't even need to jump, you can just step and touch. We're really trying to work on that single leg stability and those glutes as we jump out to the side. Make sure you don't let your knee cave in. Try not to swing the back leg too much, especially if you start to feel your torso moving with the leg. If your leg swings a little and your torso stays strong, that's totally fine. We've got 20 seconds left. Perfect. Nice big jumps. The bigger the jump, the harder you make this. We want as many touches as we can. We've got 10 seconds left. Nice. 2, 1. 15 seconds of rest. Our next exercise is going to be a jackknife, and we're going to use the towel for this. If you've got sliders at home or you like to use slippery socks, you can use any of those things as well. So we're going to start here, hands on the ground, feet on the towel. We're going to pull both knees in under the body and then push them back out. So you're really trying to dig your toes into the ground and really curl in through that lower back so that you're getting a little bit of a reverse crunch type movement happening. But we want to watch that we're not jumping in and out too quickly. So if you're jumping in and out too quickly, you're going to be losing some of that tension in the movement. So even though we're working quickly here, we still want to keep maximum tension through the movement. Make sure you're not leaning back behind the hands. As you can see here, we're really leaning forward. 10 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Awesome, good work. All right, our next exercise here is a push-up to an arm reach. So you can do this on the knees if you need to, or you can go ahead and do it on the toes. So you can do one push-up and then you're gonna reach that arm as far forward as you can. If you wanna set yourself up in front of a wall or put your kettlebell in front of you, it's a nice little reminder for you to really reach if you have something in front of you that you wanna reach towards. So one push-up, one reach, alternating sides. Again, if you get tired, you can drop down to the knees and do this on the knees, or if you want, you can also do this on an elevated surface like a coffee table or a bed or something that is a little bit of an incline, especially if you don't really have the strength to do a full body weight push-up. You don't want to be doing lots of these from the ground. So we've got 10 seconds left, as many push-ups as you can with good form, making sure our low back is staying up high, we're not hollowing out through that low back, and time. Awesome. All right, our next is our extended arm crunch. So we're going to be laying down on the back. We're going to show you this with and without the weight, so we'll start without the weight first. We're going to make sure that low back is flat on the ground, arms up over the head, and we're curling up through the abdomen here, really trying to squeeze the front of those six-pack muscles, keeping the head from swinging back and forth. So go with a little bit more slow, controlled tempo. We want to keep that low back flat on the ground. Now, if you want to make this a little bit more challenging, we're going to show you how to load this up with your dumbbell or your kettlebell. We cannot probably reach back as far with the weight, so you're going to keep the arms up over the shoulders for most of the movement. You can reach it back further and further if you have the strength. If it doesn't, lift your rib cage up off the ground. If it does, then you'll need to keep that weight a little bit closer to you. We got 5 seconds to go. Reaching up, curling up to the top. Awesome. And our last one here is our Turkish get-up crunches. So we're going to lay down on the back. We're going to have the one leg bent, and that same knee that's bent is going to have the arm that's up over the shoulder. From here, we're going to pull ourselves up onto the forearm, then onto the palm, lift the hips. Perfect. Come back into the reverse position. Come back down onto the hips, forearm, back down on the ground. So because you're doing this for 45 seconds, you can do 2 or 3 reps on each side and then go ahead and switch to the other arm. Or if you are feeling like it is a lot of work on your shoulders and you're tired, you can alternate from side to side to give each arm a break. All the way down, all the way up. We've got 15 seconds left. Good. Hips, forearm, and back down. We got 3 seconds to go. Lift up. Perfect. That is time. So once you guys complete one round of each exercise here, give yourself a little bit of a break. We can do about 60 seconds break maximum. If you want to really push yourself, you don't need to take much rest. You can start again with your second round, and you can work your way up each week so that you're adding rounds each time that you want to make this workout a little bit more challenging.
Yeah. So just replay the video, see your beautiful faces again, and yeah.
Have a good workout.
Have a good workout.